Welcome back to the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I am John Skudris. A manic beginning to this one as Sal Frascino steps in to begin Game 2 of our doubleheader between the Beacons of UMass Boston and the Colonials of Western Connecticut State, as Sal is now 1-1 against the starter Shane Bierfeld for the visiting Colonials. Left-handers 1-1 is fouled back off the screen by Sal, 1-2. Bierfeld on the season. This will be his second appearance. He's 0-1 with a 4.26. In his debut, he went 6 in the third innings. Here comes the 1-2. That's in the dirt. Checked his swing, and I believe successfully. Yes, sir. It's now 2-2. Bierfeld, as I said, 6 in the third, 8 hits, 7 runs, 3 of them are earned, 4 strikeouts, and 2 walks in his only appearance this season. Here's the 2-2. That's away, and in the dirt gets away from the backstop today, Brian Harper. He will backstop Game 2 after Sagar went all 9 for Game 1. Here's the 3-2 from Bierfeld, and that one's high and away, so a leadoff walk for Sal Frascino, who in Game 1 went 0 for 3. But he is a leadoff base runner to begin Game 2, and that'll bring up Dan Mantoni. Mantoni came into today's action hitting .292, 1 bomb and 8 runs batted in. Dan went 2 for 4 in Game 1, also walked 2 singles. Left-hander takes a look at Frascino and comes home. First pitch is a nice one. Change up for strike 1. The lineup for UMass Boston looks like this. The center fielder, you just saw Sal Frascino led off. Dan Mantoni bats second and is the DH. Dave Murphy's your shortstop. He bats third. Anthony Searles is hitting cleanup, batting fourth. Ryan Olivo is the left fielder. He hits fifth. Lionel Danielson is in right field. He bats sixth. Chris Fowler's at first base. He bats seventh. Kyle Boudris is at third base. He's hitting eighth. And as you see, another pickoff move to first is unsuccessful. It brings up the rear of Eddie Riley here, batting ninth, playing second. He is the only change in the lineup. Eddie Riley for Josh Lopez in Brendan Eigebrot's lineup in Game 2. So here's the 0-1 now to Mantoni coming on home. That one is on the inside corner. 0-2 to Dan Mantoni. For the visiting, or I should say the home team, the Colonials, playing at home despite being on the road due to insufficient fielding, or rather insufficient field at their home stadium due to the inclement weather. I'll get you their fielders in just a moment. Here's the 1-2. Inside, almost got Mantoni on the front of his elbow. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. From right to left on the infield, Frank Vartuli's back at first base for the second straight game. Stanley Rio is starting at second today. At shortstop, again, is E.J. Lavoie. And moving from second to third here for Game 2 is Bill Bisetto, as this one is fouled off the screen. Stays 2-2 to Dan Mantoni. In the outfield, the right fielder is John Kelly, center field Chris Callahan, and left field Trey Goss, the same outfield alignment that they had at the end of Game 1. A game that UMass Boston came back to win 4-2, thanks to a couple of fielding errors in the ninth inning. A swinging and missing for strike 3 is Dan Mantoni, as he goes down via the strikeout, and there's one down here in inning number 1. They'll play 9 here in Game 2. UMass Boston looking to get off to a 2-0 LEC record, which will go a long way towards usurping preseason expectations. Dave Murphy steps in here. The shortstop hitting .305 coming into play today. Takes it high, 1-0. However, Dave sees that batting average dip towards 300, if not below, after an 0 for 5 2-strikeout performance in Game 1. There's the 1-0, and there goes the runner, and you got a great jump. No chance to get Sal Frascino. You could have had Buster Posey back there, and you would not have gotten the Beacon center fielder, who got a huge jump off the left-hander and was able to steal second base. The stolen base there for Sal Frascino, after having one earlier in Game 1, is now 3 for the season, as he continues to play spirited at the top of the order here in Game 2. Here's the 2-0. Ripped up the third base line, but foul. It's now 2-1. Murphy leads UMass Boston with 2 home runs, also leads the way with 14 runs batted in, although he has since been tied by Anthony Searles, who had an RBI double for his 14th in the 8th inning of Game 1. As swinging and missing for strike 2 is Murphy on some high heat from Bierfeld. UMass Boston will counter with JT Morin. So a battle of southpaws here in Game 1. Get you the numbers on JT. Once he toes the rubber in the bottom of the first. With the Beacons trying to get on the board first after scoring 4 in the 8th and 9th innings in Game 1. Trying to continue that momentum that led them to victory. Here's the 2-2. Swung on and missed on an off-speed pitch in the dirt. And that's the second out of the inning as Murphy strikes out for the third time in this doubleheader. And Bierfeld is off to a solid start to Game 2. It brings up Anthony Searles, who was going to, from the looks of it, catch all 18 innings of this doubleheader. Caught all 9 of Game 1. He's back behind the dish for Game 2. Came into action hitting .286. One bomb, now 14 RBI. He went 1 for 4. Had that RBI double and reached on an error. Also struck out and grounded out in Game 1. Southpaw's first pitch, high-hanging curve, left it up, 1-0. Beacons, after playing 2 today, will have to be back at it at noon tomorrow. Here's the 1-0. There goes the runner for third, and Sal's going to be safe at third. A risky play for Sal Frascino. They tell you never to get thrown out at third to end an inning or for the first out of an inning. And he gambled there, but it paid off, as with a 2-0 count to Anthony Searles, the first run of the game sits 90 feet away. And after we saw 3 errors in Game 1 on the Colonials, it's always an opportunity to punch home a run, as it's now 3-0 to Anthony Searles. Between games, a game that the Colonials let slip away, their coaching staff certainly let him hear it, as here's the 3-0 pitch. That's right down Broadway for strike 1. Searles took a step towards first, but he'll have to meander back into the batter's box. John Soucy, who's in his 17th season at the helm of the Colonials, certainly knows how to amp up his players. The FCC wouldn't allow me to actually say some of the things he was saying to his team, but at the same time, he clearly was unhappy with the performance late in that Game 1, as this is ball 4 outside, and working the 5-pitch walk is Anthony Searles, second walk of the inning. In fact, the Beacons have yet to put one in play, 2 walks and 2 strikeouts against Bierfeld. And it will bring up Ryan Olivo. The freshman came into today's action hitting .563. He went 0 for 4 in Game 1, though did reach on an error to lead off the 9th. Was replaced by a pinch runner who eventually came around to score, as that one's down Broadway for strike 1, 0-1. Native of Rochester, New York, home of the Rochester Red Wings, the AAA affiliate of the Minnesota Twins. Here's the 0-1. On the outside corner, 0-2 to Ryan Olivo. Rochester, a big rival of the Pawtucket Red Sox in the International League. Minor league affiliate of your Boston Red Sox, as the 0-2's up the middle, a base hit! What a great clutch piece of hitting with 2 outs for Ryan Olivo, as the freshman drives in run number 6 on the season, as Sal Frascino makes his way in. It's 1-0 UMass Boston in the first inning here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Moving over to second on the base knock is Anthony Searles. And so Ryan Olivo, who was held hitless in Game 1, comes right back as the 5-hole hitter in Game 2, delivering the first run of the game. As swinging and missing on the off-speed pitch is Danielson. It's 0-1. Lionel came into play hitting an even .300, third on the team with 12 runs batted in. In Game 1, he was hitless, went 0 for 1. But he did reach base every single time he stepped up to the dish. In trouble of not continuing that streak as he's down 0-2. He was hit by 2 pitches, also walked and reached on a fielder's choice. There's the 0-2, curveball, just a bit up. It's 1-2 to Lionel Danielson. If Lionel reaches, Chris Fowler's on deck. Bierfeld from the stretch takes a peek back at Searles. Here's the 1-2. Ripped and missed for strike 3. So Danielson goes down swinging, and in fact Bierfeld strikes out the side swinging, but UMass Boston ends up taking advantage of a leadoff walk to Sal Frascino, and the RBI single for Ryan Olivo gets the Beacons on the board first. We're after 1/2 inning here from Monin Park It's 1-0 UMass Boston on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. So we're all set for the bottom half of the first inning. UMass Boston will send JT Morin to the mound. JT will make his 5th appearance, 3rd start. He's 2-0 with a 3.26 ERA. Left-hander's gone 19 1/3 innings. And if there's one thing that you can expect out of JT Morin, it is outstanding command. In 19 1/3 innings, he struck out 26 opposing batters and walked just 2. The 13-1 strikeout-to-walk ratio easily leads the team among starters, is second to only Manny Garcia among all pitchers. And UMass Boston has a pair of dynamic southpaws to ride into the sunset and beyond throughout the next couple of campaigns, as Morin, a freshman, will certainly be a key cog to Brendan Eigerbrote's future success over the next 4 years. Here's the lineup that they will face. Leading off, playing right field for the 2nd straight game, it's John Kelly. Batting second and playing shortstop is E.J. Lavoie. The center fielder and the team's leading hitter is the 3-hole hitter, Chris Callahan. Frank Vartuli is back at first. He's batting cleanup in Game 2. Nick Delato's your DH again. He'll bat 5th. Bill Bacetto is at third base in Game 2. He'll bat 6th. Trey Gauls will start today. He's batting 7th and playing left field. The backstop and one of only 2 players on this roster with a home run this year is Brian Harper. And Stanley Rio will bring up the rear of the lineup. He is at second base. So it'll be John Kelly stepping on in. Kelly, 389 on the season. 3 runs batted in. Although he went 0 for 4 in Game 1. Morin gets his sign. First pitch to Kelly on the inside corner with a fastball. It's strike 1. From right to left on the infield, it's Chris Fowler at first base, Eddie Riley at second, Dave Murphy at shortstop, and Kyle Boudris at third as the 0-1 pitch is off the outside corner with a fastball, 1-1. In the outfield, Lionel Danielson's in right, Sal Frascino in center, and Ryan Olivo is in left. That's the lineup for Brendan Eigerbrote's club, leading 1-0 as the 1-1 pitch is swung on and missed by Kelly, 1-2. In Game 1, Kelly, as I mentioned, went 0 for 4. He struck out 3 times, trying to avoid the golden sombrero over 5 at-bats. And there it is, struck out looking as Kelly meanders his way back to the dugout in disgust. It's 1 down in the bottom of the first. Brings up E.J. Lavoie. He also went 0 for 4 in Game 1. Came into today's action hitting .364 with 4 runs batted in. He reached base in that 5th inning that saw the Colonials score their 2nd run. He was actually the man who scored, reaching on a fielder's choice as he takes that one right down Broadway, 0-1. Sandwiched that around a strikeout swinging and a couple of flyouts. Morin from this windup, the 0-1 pitch. Off-speed pitch, swung on and missed, 0-2. So JT Morin, as I mentioned, gets ahead of hitters. Just 2 walks all season. Now 27 strikeouts, correct. Had to second guess myself because the ratio is just that staggering. The 0-2 pitch is fouled towards the Beacons dugout. Staying 0-2. Lavoie back into the batter's box. Morin is ready. Here's the 0-2 pitch. In the dirt, 1 ball and 2 strikes. In Game 1, Beacons trailed that game 2-0 heading into the 8th inning when a pinch hit appearance from Charlie Hughey turned the game on its end. He struck out swinging, but a wild pitch resulted in Charlie reaching base, as this one's grounded to second base. Coming on in is Eddie Riley, who came in as a defensive replacement in Game 1, and he cannot get the speedy Lavoie at first base. It was a bang-bang play, and they'll call it an infield single as E.J. Lavoie beats out the throw from Eddie Riley. And that puts a 1-out base runner on for Chris Callahan. As I was saying, in the 8th inning, Hughey reached on the strikeout wild pitch. A couple of batters later, Searles delivered into right field over the right fielder's grasp. Ended up bringing in Hughey as this one skied into left. Olivo has it in his tracks for the second out. That's a big out there. Chris Callahan, 2 for 3 in Game 1, including a triple and a double. Raised his batting average back over 500. But he is retired on a fly out to left, 2 down. They'll bring up Vartuli. He went 1 for 3 with a walk in Game 1, hitting .293 with a home run and a team-leading 14 runs batted in. Two down here in the bottom of the first inning. Runner at first base is Lavoie. He goes. The throw is fouled back off the screen by Vartuli. It's 0-1. That 8th inning run by Hughey cut the deficit to 2-1, but more importantly, it threw a kink in what was really an unblemished armor of the starting pitcher, Lyons. And they were able to bounce back and get 3 runs thanks to a couple errors in the 9th and 1 4-2. Pickoff move from Morin is not in time. And maybe not as big a choking situation as the Boston Bruins had today, losing 6-1 to the Ottawa Senators in a game that they only had to win to make the playoffs. They are now out of the playoffs for the second straight year in the NHL, replaced by the Philadelphia Flyers, who beat Pittsburgh 3-1. That one was fouled back off the screen by Vartuli. It's 0-2. So both Detroit, despite losing to the Rangers of New York, and Philadelphia Flyers grab those last 2 playoff spots in the Eastern Conference. And it's all set for the Stanley Cup playoffs as we get set for an 0-2 pitch, low, 1-2. Of course, the UMass Boston men's hockey team and women's hockey team both made the NCAA tournament this season. Men took it all the way to the Frozen Four in a multiple overtime thriller before eventually succumbing. A pickoff move, and they got him dead to rights, but sleeping over at shortstop was Murphy and was unable to get there in time. As able to get to second base is Lavoie. So Murphy was unable to get to the bag in time, leaving Fowler with no one to throw to. And that's the straw that broke the camel's back on that one. It stays 1-2 to Vartuli on the stolen base there by Lavoie. Morin gets his sign from Searles. The 1-2 pitch. Chopped foul right behind home plate. Stays 1-2. Nick Delato's on deck. He went 0 for 3 with a walk in Game 1. Morin gets his sign. He's ready from the stretch. The 1-2 pitch oncoming. And now he'll step off the rubber and take a peek back at second base, where Lavoie continues to toe over there, trying to get the tying run in with a base hit. He has a healthy lead, and now coming home with the 1-2, swung on and missed. Down goes Vartuli. So it's the first strikeout, or rather the second strikeout. He strikes out 2 here in the first inning, and that does retire the side. So no runs on 1 hit and 1 man left on base. We head to the second, 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. So Shane Bierfeld will toe the rubber for the second inning of work here. Beacons leading 1-0. You're watching the Beacons Broadcasting Network here on beaconsathletics.com, powered by all the folks who definitely help us out. You know, when we look back at that first game, it's difficult to really blame the starter Lions for the loss. He got the loss. He fell to 1-2. Chris Fowler will step in to begin the second inning, but he pitched so brilliantly through the first 7 innings. It's a hard knock loss, and I think even his coaching staff will tell him the loss isn't on him. It's on the fielders behind him who absolutely butchered the 9th inning. Here's the 0-1 pitch as that one is outside. It'll be Fowler, Boudris, and Riley, 7, 8, 9. There's the 1-1. Curveball, just a bit high. 2 balls and 1 strike. Boudris in game 1 went, Fowler in game 1 as this one is lifted to left field. Goss on the run. He's not going to get there. If it's fair, it's trouble. It's just foul. As Fowler sent that one deep to left field. There's really minimal amount of foul territory out on both of the lines once you get into the outfield. So it does inhibit your ability to squeak one in there. As I said, Fowler 0 for 4 in game 1. Grounded into a double play, struck out, grounded into a fielder's choice, and reached on an error. That was the key error by Lions in the 9th inning. Here's the 2-2 from Bierfeld. Curveball grounded to first base side and foul as that one bounced just to the right of the bag before Vartuli was able to gobble it up. It stays 2-2. So Fowler back in the batter's box. He came into action today hitting over 320. This time he'll strike out and retiring the first baseman for UMass Boston on a 1-3 putout, or rather a 2-3 putout, is going to be the catcher Brian Harper. And that's the first out of the inning on a strikeout. Put him out. Brings up Kyle Boudris. Kyle went 0 for 3. He walked and also drove in a run back in game 1. Hitting .260, 6 runs batted in. And lefty on lefty action as this one is chopped foul behind the dish, 0-1. Beacon sent 6 to the dish in the first inning. The leadoff walk by Sal Frascino, followed by a brilliant stolen base, contributed to the first run of the game. Here's the 0-1. That one grounded to third. Taken in there and fired across the diamond for the out by the third baseman Bassetto, and that's 2 down to begin the top half of the second inning. In that first, after Frascino was able to reach and steal, Bierfeld did wonders against the Killer M's, striking out Mantoni and Murphy, both swinging. However, a walk to Anthony Searles, then brought up Ryan Olivo, grounded it right through the legs of the pitcher Bierfeld for a base hit, and a 1-0 UMass Boston lead. Here's Eddie Riley, takes the first pitch in the dirt for a ball, 1-0. Eddie's still looking for his first hit of the season. The 1-0 pitch, that one's way up and out, and that'll be ball 2. Eddie on the campaign is 0 for 8 coming into action today. He did work a walk in the 9th inning of game 1 after coming in as a defensive replacement. 2-0's in the dirt, so maybe he's looking at a chance for 2 straight walks. It's now 3-0. Said Eddie has no hits this year, but he does now have 2 walks. Here's the 3-0. Right there, 3-1. If Eddie reaches, it would bring up Sal Frascino, the leadoff hitter in this game. There's a 3-1 from Bierfeld. Wind up and the pitch. Believe chopping that foul was Eddie Riley. He did. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Eddie is a native of Quincy, standing at 6 foot 170. Sophomore, and swings and misses on that one, and that'll do it. So Riley strikes out swinging, and that's now 5 strikeouts through the first 6 outs for starting pitcher Shane Bierfeld. We head to the bottom of the second inning. Still 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. JT Morin back on the mound for his second inning of work. We are through 1.5 from Monin Park in Game 2 of our doubleheader as the Little East Conference schedule gets underway this afternoon. Beacons won the opener 4-2. They improved to 10-8 on the season and 1-0 in the LEC. The loss for Western Connecticut drops them overall to 5-8 and 0-1 in conference play. We'll be back in non-conference play for the next week. Will the Colonials? They play Nichols College as well as SUNY Purchase in Manhattanville over the next week, before heading to Maine to take on Southern Maine next Saturday. The leadoff hitter to face Morin in the second is Nick Delato, designated hitter for the second straight game. Nick went 0 for 3 with a walk in Game 1. That one's in the dirt. 1-0 to Delato, hitting .444 coming into play today. From the windup, Morin's 1-0 pitch. That one's on the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. JT, a native of Wilton, Connecticut, taking on his home state squad. We're certainly glad he decided to take his talents to UMass Boston, as he has been integral to the success so far of this team, coming in 2-0 with a 3.26, as that's high, 2-1. Voting batting average is just .216, which is not among the team leaders. In fact, Dan Mantoni leads the way among starters, coming in just 160. Is this 2-1? It's Q shot over the head of Fowler, but coming over to his left to make the play is Eddie Riley. A pop out to second. And there's 1 out here in the bottom of the second inning for Bill Bacetto.
The third baseman, number 16, Bill Bacetto.
Bacetto went 3 for 4 in Game 1 as he led the offensive charge for these Colonials. 3 singles as well as a ground out, raising that batting average back towards 300 as he came in hitting .292. There's a fastball down Broadway, 0-1. And that brings JT Morin's complete control over his command again to the forefront. Couple of strikeouts already. The 0-1 is a little bit low. 1 ball and 1 strike to Bacetto. Trey Gauze waits on deck. He came in halfway through Game 1 as a defensive replacement. Had 1 at bat. Here's the 1-1. That's fouled out of play. 1-2 up the first base line. Not a lot of changes between the lineups for Game 1 and Game 2 for either club. Beacons have just Eddie Riley, the difference outside of the pitcher, as this 1-2 is swung on and fouled back off the dish and then trickles back towards the screen. It stays 1-2. Meanwhile, for WestCon, Gauze starts. Harper's behind the dish. And Stanley Rio is starting at second. Those are the 3 changes for the Colonials. Here's the 1-2. That's just a bit low and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Bacetto. The lights are on as twilight will hit us probably around the 4th or 5th inning, which can always wreak havoc on the outfielders. And it'll only get colder out there. It was a high of about 48 today, and that was when the sun was out. Grounded to third base, gobbled up and fired across the diamond, and a great play by Kyle Boudris, as he uses that range and that solid arm to gun down Bill Bacetto. 5-3 on the putout. And there's 2 down now here in the second inning.
The left fielder, number 25, Trey Gauze.
Brings up Trey Gauze. Trey came into today's action hitting .333 with 2 runs batted in. He went 0 for 1 in Game 1. After coming in halfway through for Matt Green, he grounded into a double play to first base. First pitch to him is low, 1-0. Morin gets the sign. Left-hander's 1-0 pitch. That's low. 2 balls and no strikes. And for a guy who's only walked 2 batters all season, he is now behind 2-0 to the 7-hole hitter, Trey Gauze. Southpaw's 2-0 delivery. Gauze swinging at that one. Chops it to third. Easy Sunday hop for Boudris, and he fires across the diamond to get the opposing left fielder. 1-2-3 go the Colonials in the second inning. Pop out, ground out, ground out. And through 2 innings, JT Morin is on cruise control. We head to the bottom of the second, or rather the top of the third. It's 1-0 UMass Boston here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. So we head to the third inning of play here from Monin Park, here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. UMass Boston looking to sweep the opening doubleheader of Little East Conference play here in 2016 against Western Connecticut State. Of course, this game played under odd circumstances, originally scheduled to be a doubleheader at WestCon. However, due to inclement weather and obviously the temperature being what it has been over the last couple of weeks, the field was just unplayable down at WestCon. Meanwhile, the Beacons have an incredibly playable new ballpark where the only actual dirt is the dirt on the pitcher's mound. That's easy to cover up with a small tarp. The rest of it is all turf. Even the dirt around the diamond is, in fact, not, as that one is high to Sal Frascino, 1-0. And so they moved this doubleheader here, but due to conference bylaws, the 1-0 pitch is outside, or actually on the outside corner, 1-1. Due to conference bylaws, the Colonials were mandated to still be the home team. So the Beacons are at home, but on the road, as this one is inside with a curveball. 2-1 to Sal Frascino, who walked, stole a base, and scored a run back in the first inning. There's the 2-1 pitch, and that one is just a bit high. 3 balls and 1 strike to Sal Frascino, as Bierfeld will try to avoid his third walk of the day and second to the Beacons' leadoff hitter. Here's the 3-1. On the outside corner, strike 2, and a full count now to Sal Frascino, who's worked a couple of great at-bats already out of the leadoff hole. It's ironic. He's usually the 9-hole hitter, but he's got such great plate discipline and solid wheels as he fouls this one back off the screen that in a doubleheader, Coach Igerbrod has no concerns with leading him off. And he certainly got the job done in the first inning, walking, stealing a base, and scoring. I'll try to get back on base here as Bierfeld gets set for the 3-2 pitch. Left-hander gets his sign. Winds and delivers, and this one's lined to shortstop right at Lavoie, who gobbles it up and makes the out for the first out of the inning. It's a line out to the shortstop Lavoie, 1 down for Dan Mantoni. Dan struck out swinging his first time up. In Game 1, Dan had a solid performance both offensively and on the pitching mound. He went 2 for 4 with a walk and a couple of singles at the dish. And on the mound went 7 innings, as that one is in the dirt, 1-0. Went 7 innings, gave up just 5 hits and 2 runs while striking out 7. In fact, in his last 2 starts now for Mantoni, 14 innings pitched, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 17 strikeouts, and 4 walks. So he is heating up after a tumultuous start to the campaign on the mound. He'd like to see the same heat brought to the right-handed batter's box here. Here's the 1-0. High, 2 balls and no strikes. So after striking out in the first inning, Mantoni's ahead of the count against Bierfeld. Left-hander readies and delivers the 2-0. That's on the outside corner, 2 balls and a strike. Wind up. Bierfeld's 2-1, a little bit high. 3 balls and 1 strike to Dan Mantoni, with Dave Murphy waiting on deck. So the Beacons at the top of the order trying to get something going here. Get a couple of more runs in. The 3-1 is high, ball 4. He did not go. Mantoni will reach. It is the 3rd walk of the game for Bierfeld. And UMass Boston has a one-out base runner for Dave Murphy. Murphy struck out swinging his first time up to fall to 0 for 6 today with 3 strikeouts, including his numbers in Game 1. Still hitting around 300, still leading the way with 2 bombs and 14 runs batted in. Here's the first pitch, and Murphy takes high, 1-0. Searles is on deck. He's had a solid performance today. From the stretch, the 1-0 pitch. That one's launched. Left field. Gauze on the run. He will not get there. It's off the wall in front of the Lambert's Rainbow Market sign. Heading over to third is Mantoni, and it is a one-out double for Dave Murphy, his first hit of the day, and he puts 2 men in scoring position with 1 out for Anthony Searles. So what a piece of hitting there from Murphy. If that was right field instead of left field, it had a chance to go. That wall just out there in left field is too cavernous for Murphy to be able to eclipse, and now with 1 down, it'll bring up Searles. Anthony walked in his first at-bat of Game 2. Came into today's action hitting .286, though he did tie Murphy with 14 RBI to lead the way. He's got a chance to now take the lead in runs batted in by making contact here. Instead, he swings and misses, 0-1. Searles, of course, had that RBI double to get the Beacons on the board in the 8th inning of Game 1. He was gunned down trying to get to third, but the run still scored. 0-1 pitch is high with a curveball, 1-1. Runner is in at, the fielders are in at first. However, they are playing back everywhere else. Here's the 1-1. Just a bit high. 2 balls and 1 strike to Searles, who shows the great eye there. And UMass Boston now seeing their backstop ahead, 2-1. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That was launched to right field, but it's going to reach the seats as this one is out of play. Searles steps out, gets a breather, and back in. 2-2 pitch coming up is huge for Bielfeldt. Here it is out of the windup. Inside and low, 3 balls and 2 strikes. The hottest hitter on UMass Boston this season, Ryan Olivo, waits on deck. He had an RBI single in the first inning. He would love another opportunity to blow this one wide open. Here's the 3-2 from the windup. The payoff pitch. And on the outside corner, called strike 3. So Searles, passive in that at-bat, takes strike 3. And there's 2 down now for Olivo. It's a big out for Bielfeldt, as 2 men in scoring position with 1 out. All you have to do is make contact. They're surrendering the run by playing the infield back, and now it's going to take a hit from Olivo. But who else would you rather have out there? The guy hitting nearly 600 on the campaign. That one's outside. It's 1-0. As UMass Boston's left fielder awaits the next one. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Other one, not even close. 2-0. You wonder if they're trying to work around Olivo here with how hot he's been. Danielson has been cool of late. Does not yet have a hit today, though he's reached base in 4 out of 5 at-bats today, as this one's fouled out of play, 2-1. You don't really want to load the bases for Danielson, so they'll probably attack here as the 2-1. Swung on and missed, as they did. 2 balls and 2 strikes now. So deuce is wild, 2 men on, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs here in the top half of the 3rd inning. The windup. The 2-2 pitch. Off-speed pitch, left it up. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So big pitch coming up here for both Olivo and Bielfeldt. Ryan already has an RBI single in this game. The windup. The 3-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. He struck him out, and Bielfeldt battles back to get out of the inning. So despite putting 2 men on base with a walk to Mantoni and a double by Murphy, Bielfeldt tiptoes his way out of trouble with strikeout number 7 through 3 innings. We head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Still 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. It'll be 8-9-1 for the Colonials as they trail 1-0 heading into the bottom of the third inning. JT Morin remains on the mound, and why not? He's been brilliant through 2 innings. Gave up just an infield single to E.J. Lavoie in the first. He's also struck out 2. He leads 1-0 as Brian Harper steps into the right-handed batter's box, taking strike 1. Harper's the catcher here in Game 2, hitting .208. He's got 1 home run and 4 RBI. One of just 2 Colonials with long balls. Did that one hit him? It didn't look like it did. It careened off the turf and then off of Searles, I believe. So it's just a ball, 1-1. From the windup, here's the 1-1 from Morin, and a check swing. I think he went, they will say so, as Harper goes through on the check swing. It's 1-2. Clearly he didn't think so, but he's got to re-catch his bearings and react for a 1-2 coming up from one of the best young lefties in the conference. Here's the 1-2 from Morin. On the outside corner, called strike 3. Morin's 3rd strikeout of the day, his 2nd looking. And there's 1 down here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. That brings up Stanley Rio. Rio came into today's action hitting .190 with 1 run batted in. He went 0 for 1 in Game 1 after being a pinch hitter in the 9th inning. Struck out swinging, in fact, to end the game, as this one is fouled off the screen for strike 1. After Rio, it will be the top of the order, John Kelly. He has struggled today, striking out 4 times over the course of this doubleheader. As that 0-1 is outside, 1-1. Rio standing at 5'9", 185, a native of Torrington, Connecticut. As I said in Game 1, every single player on this roster is either from Connecticut or New York, as the 1-1 pitch is low, 2-1. Western Connecticut has now lost 7 consecutive games after losing Game 1, as this is a big hack from Rio, but he comes up empty. It's 2-2. They started the year with 5 straight victories, but they closed out their spring trip to Port Charlotte with 6 straight losses, and that has them reeling here to begin LEC play, as this one's fouled off the screen by Rio. They haven't played since March 24th due to the inclement weather, when they lost to the College of Worcester by the final of 8-7. They'll be back at it after this one on Monday when they travel to Nichols College. The 2-2 swung on and missed by Rio. He is retired on strikes. The 2nd consecutive strikeout by Morin, the 4th of the affair. And that's 2 down now for John Kelly, who is no stranger to the strikeout. As I mentioned, 3 in Game 1 and 1 to begin Game 2. So Kelly steps in. He's now 0 for 5 today, despite coming in with a sparkling .389 batting average, which was 3rd on the team at the time. First pitch to him. Kelly takes that one just a bit low. It's 1-0. They're in on the corners even with the bag. Back up the middle as the 1-0 pitch is in the dirt. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Morin back on the rubber out of the windup. A 2-0 is coming up here to John Kelly. And that one is fouled back off the screen. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Beacons leading 1-0. RBI single back in the 1st inning by Ryan Olivo, scoring Sal Frascino. Here's the 2-1 for Morin. And Kelly swings and misses. 2 balls and 2 strikes at some high heat. So Kelly now in danger of going down on strikes for the 5th time today over the course of this doubleheader. Morin gets his sign. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 3rd inning. In the top of the 4th, UMass will have 6, 7, and 8. Danielson, Fowler, and Boudris. Anyone reaches, it would bring up Eddie Riley, as this one's popped up but out of play behind home plate and behind the press box here at Monin Park. So with a 3-2 count upcoming, Morin is ready. The windup, the 3-2 pitch in the dirt, ball 4. So able to work a walk is John Kelly. And for Kelly, that's his second walk of this doubleheader. And he's a 2-out base runner for E.J. Lavoie.
The shortstop, number 10, E.J. Lavoie.
Talked about the rarity that is the base on balls when Morin's on the mound. It had been 22 consecutive innings, or rather 22 innings, just 2 walks, I should say, on this campaign for Morin. He's now got 3. However, when you consider the fact that he also has 30 strikeouts, a 10-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio is pretty good. This one's fouled in play, I believe. Fowler's going to have to get on his horse, and it does trickle out of play over the fencing right beyond that 2010 Little East Conference Championship banner. It's 0-1 now to E.J. Lavoie. Runner at first is Kelly. On the campaign, Kelly has 4 stolen bases. That leads the team. Colonials would love to even this one up with 2 outs against a young left-hander who doesn't give too much away. A rare walk puts Kelly on base. And as he continues to take a look at Kelly, I don't think this pitch is ever going to happen, and it won't. His calling time is Lavoie from the right-handed batter's box. EJ was 0 for 4 in Game 1, but he did reach on an infield single with 1 out in the first inning of Game 2. Here's the 0-1. It's right there on the outside corner. 0-2 to E.J. Lavoie. If E.J.'s able to reach, it would bring up Chris Callahan, who is their best hitter. A couple of extra base hits in Game 1. Here's a pickoff move to first. Diving back in time is Kelly. Count will remain 0-2 to Lavoie, as stepping back on the rubber is Morin. Morin gets the sign he likes from Searles. Takes a peek at first, the 0-2 pitch, and that's fouled out of play up the first base line. So with the count 0-2, they'll reset. Beacons can play back in both the infield and outfield with 2 outs. From the stretch, another pickoff move to first, not in time. UMass Boston, of course, has had an up-and-down campaign. They're now 10-8 overall. They've gotten big wins over Worcester State as well as a 10-1 win over Western New England. Here's the 0-2. Line drive right side, but that's a foul ball. No chance for Fowler. It stays 0-2. At the same time, though, they've got blowout losses to Rhodes College, Rowan University, and Brandeis on their schedule. Those 3 losses coming on a combined 47-13 margin. But really, it's, you know what they say, it doesn't matter if you lose by 1 or by 20, a loss is a loss. So that one is up and away, 1-2. And as I mentioned, Beacons also have their fair share of blowouts in their favor. Game 1 was not a blowout. It was a comeback win from down 2-0 in the 8th and 9th for UMass Boston to win 4-2. As there goes the base runner Kelly, but this one's grounded by Lavoie to third, as Boudris will fire across the diamond to Fowler to retire the side. So Morin continues to pitch spectacularly here in Game 2. We head to the 4th inning of play. It's still 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. So Shane Bierfeld will get back onto the mound for his fourth inning of work. He trails 1-0. A first inning RBI single from Ryan Olivo. Last inning, Beacons got 2 men on base with less than 2 outs. In fact, they got 2 men on base in scoring position with only 1 out on the double by Dave Murphy that moved Mantoni to third. However, back-to-back strikeouts, one looking by Searles and one swinging by Olivo, was able to get Bierfeld and the Colonials out of trouble. And with the game 1-0 as we head towards the fourth inning, the Beacons will send 6, 7, and 8 to the batter's box, beginning with right fielder Lionel Danielson. Danielson struck out swinging to end the first inning. He reached base every time he stepped up to the dish in game 1, despite not getting a hit. He was hit by 2 pitches. He walked and also reached on a fielder's choice. First pitch to Lionel is grounded to short, gobbled up by Lavoie. Lionel's got great wheels, the low throw, and a great scoop out there on a play made by Vartuli. So 6-3 on the putout for the first out of the fourth inning. There's 1 down for Chris Fowler. Fowler's 0 for 1. He struck out and was retired on a 2-3 putout to begin inning number 2. Left-handed batter and first baseman for these Beacons sees the first pitch, a beautiful hook, but just a little bit low. It's 1-0. From the windup, Bierfeld's 1-0 pitch, another good hook. This one catches the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chris Fowler. Fowler's had to absorb a lot more playing time than anybody thought. Injuries have forced his hand as this one is lifted into left center field, ranging over and then deferring to Goss is going to be Callahan, and that's the second out of the inning. Trey Goss makes the play. Fly out to left field, 2 down, and it brings up Kyle Boudris. Boudris is 0 for 1, 0 for 4 overall today. He walked and drove in a run as well back in game 1. Came into today's action hitting .265 with 6 runs batted in as the left-hander takes the southpaw's first pitch, a fastball in the outside corner, 0-1. Eddie Riley on deck if Kyle's able to reach, as this one is low, 1-1. Bierfeld gets the sign, the windup, the 1-1 pitch, chopped foul right off the end of the bat. It's 1-2. These Colonial starters love to work quickly. You see, every pitcher, or every team at least, usually has different philosophies. Every pitcher even, from time to time. Here's the 1-2, and that one's in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kyle Boudris. But we saw both Lyons and now Bierfeld work incredibly swiftly between pitches. From the windup, here's Bierfeld's 2-2 pitch to Boudris. Ground ball back up the middle. That's a base knock for Kyle. As backhanding it to keep it at least on the infield is Rio. But nonetheless, that is a 2-out single. And that'll bring up Eddie Riley. And at the very least, the Beacons will turn the lineup over as the 9-hole hitter Eddie Riley will step up to the batter's box. That's, of course, barring the base runner being thrown out. And then right as I say that, Eddie Riley's day is done. So Eddie got a couple of innings last game, and 3 innings of game 2. And he'll be replaced out there by number 4, Ray Zincone, the freshman from West Warwick, Rhode Island. Zincone on the campaign is 6 of 25, good for a .240 batting average. He's got 4 runs batted in. First pitch to the right-handed batter is on the inside corner, 0-1. Base runner at first is Boudris, who just had that infield single. Bierfeld takes a look over at Boudris and comes home. The 0-1 is swung on and missed, 0-2 to Zincone. Ray standing at 5'9", 175. You'd think he would come in to play second base next inning, but you never do know. We'll wait to give you that word. Here's the 0-2. That's right there for strike 3. So striking out looking is Zincone. That's now 8 strikeouts through 4 innings for Shane Bierfeld. We head to the bottom of the 4th inning from Monin Park. It's 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. JT Morin back on the rubber for UMass Boston as he will toil with 3-4-5, the heart of the order for these Colonials, who will look to even things up here in the fourth inning, trailing 1-0 here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I'm John Skudras, glad to bring you all 18 innings at the very least of this doubleheader. Beacons winning Game 1 4-2 by scoring 3 runs in the 9th inning to overcome a solid pitching performance and win over those Colonials. Bobby Tremendozi got his second win of the season for the Beacons as he came in and pitched a perfect 8th inning. Chris Callahan is the first batter to face Morin here in the 4th. Chris came into action today hitting an even .500. Increased that by going 2 for 3 with a triple and a double as well as a walk in Game 1. He takes that one down Broadway for strike 1. Flew out to left in his first at bat as Callahan will await the windup and the 0-1 pitch from JT Morin. That one's lifted to left field. This one, however, will find the stands as it goes over the webbing out of play. 0-2 now to Chris Callahan, and what else is new? JT Morin pounding the strike zone here in the 4th inning. From the windup, Morin gets his sign. The 0-2 to Callahan, and that's in the dirt and away, 1-2. After Callahan, it'll bring up Frank Vartuli and Nick Delato. 3-4-5. Here's the 1-2. Ripped foul back off the netting. Still 1-2 to Callahan. Really, Morin's had little trouble in this game. In the first inning, he allowed his only base hit, I should say, an infield single to Lavoie. But then he got Callahan to fly out and Vartuli to strike out. Here's the 1-2 to Callahan, and that's grounded foul up the first base line. Went 1-2-3 in the second, gave up a 2-out walk to Kelly in the third. But really, no harm, no foul for JT Morin, who's been absolutely outstanding. Left-hander attacking the left-handed hitter. Here's the 1-2. Just a bit outside. JT wanted it on that pitch. It was a beautiful pitch there, a slider that cut away. Might have just been a cutter, and that one almost caught the outside corner. Regardless, it's now 2-2. JT was all smiles after that one. This one dips down. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Chris Callahan. So from 0-2 to 3-2 to the center fielder for these Western Connecticut Colonials. Here's the 3-2. Right down Broadway for strike 3. JT Morin, crafty as can be, as he paints that like a Rembrandt. 1 down here in the 4th inning. That is strikeout number 5 for JT. He's given up just 1 hit and 1 walk. And he has been brilliant now through 3 1/3. Brings up Vartuli. First pitch to Frank is low, 1-0. Frank's 0-1. He struck out swinging to end the first. Part of a 1-for-4 day so far in the doubleheader. Wind up in the 1-0 pitch. That's sky to shallow left center. Watch out for this twilight as Olivo comes in. He calls off the shortstop and makes the play in front of Murphy for the second out of the inning. So good play there by Ryan Olivo on a fly out to left by Vartuli. And there's 2 down for Nick Delato.
The designated hitter, number 20, Nick Delato.
Delato is 0-for-1. He popped out to second. That was back to lead off the second inning. Went 0-for-3 with a walk in Game 1. First pitch to him from the lefty, cuts inside, 1-0. Delato is a native of Southbury, Connecticut, standing at 5'9", 185. 1-0 pitch, a skied foul. That'll reach the stands. Searles gave it a look, but no chance at that. Elsewhere in the Lilies Conference today, a couple afternoon affairs. Keene State took on Eastern Connecticut. Plymouth State was at Rhode Island, and Southern Maine took their talents to UMass Dartmouth. Here's the 1-1. Ripped to center field. Frashino came in and now hardly has to move as he squeezes it for out number 3. JT Morin looking poised beyond his years. The freshman continues to dazzle everyone in attendance. He's through 4 shutout innings. We go to the 5th from Monin Park. It's 1-0 UMass Boston. Well, nobody ever said playing baseball in Massachusetts is easy, or in all of New England, to add Western Connecticut into the mix. These two teams have had 9 games postponed this season due to weather or due to unplayable surfaces. And as Sal Frascino steps in to get things started here in the 5th inning, these two teams are just glad to get some games in as we continue along with this doubleheader. First pitch to Sal, fakes the bunt, pulls it back for ball 1. Because of all those cancellations, this game had to be moved from WestConn here to UMass Boston. That's why if you're tuning in, as this one skied to right center field, Callahan lost sight of it at first. He then does recover visibility, makes a play. 1 down as Sal Frascino flies out to center field. He is 0 for 2. It'll bring up Dan Mantoni, who's 0 for 1 with a strikeout and a walk. If you're just joining us, like I was saying, this game is in UMass Boston here from Monin Park, the inaugural campaign in this stadium. First pitch to Dan is up, but for a strike, 0-1. Dan didn't like it, nor did I. But the home team is Western Connecticut State, as they were scheduled to be the home team back at home, and due to conference bylaws, they have to remain the home team despite the fact that we're playing in Boston, as that pitch was a curveball for a strike, 0-2. 0-2 to Dan Mantoni's in the dirt. Blocked there by Harper, 1-2. Now, while this does help the Beacons, playing at home as opposed to playing down in Connecticut, what doesn't help them is that they're going to have to go right down to Connecticut after this one for a noon start tomorrow against EastCon, as that one is inside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. To make matters worse, Eastern Connecticut is the best team in the conference. That one is on the inside corner, strike 3. So down goes Mantoni. So he goes down for the 2nd time today. There's 2 down, and nobody on base, and that'll bring up Dave Murphy.
The shortstop, number 8, Dave Murphy.
Murphy is 1 for 2. Doubled in his last at bat and was stranded at second. Also struck out in the first inning, as that's outside, 1-0. As Bierfeld will get back on the rubber, working quickly. 1-0 pitch. High, 2 balls and no strikes to Dave Murphy. From the windup, Bierfeld gets his side. The 2-0 pitch. Dave taking all the way. That's right down Broadway, 2-1. After that EastCon game, Beacons will be back at home on Tuesday to take on Salem State. They'll then go to Roger Williams for a matinee affair at 3 p.m. from Roger Williams on Wednesday. Beacons already lost to Roger Williams 17-3 at home back on March the 22nd. Here's the 3-1 pitch. That one's launched into left field. Left center, Callahan coming on in, ranging to make the play and retire the side. So Chris Callahan squeezes that one in left center field. Beacons go 1-2-3 in the 5th inning we head to the bottom of the 5th inning from Monin Park on the campus of UMass Boston. Still 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. JT Morin back on the pitching mound. He'll face 6, 7, and 8 here in the bottom of the 5th inning. It'll be Basetto, Gauze, and Harper. At least those are the scheduled batters. Beacons have already made a defensive change a couple innings ago when Ray Zincone came in for Eddie Riley. We'll see if the Beacons or the Colonials have any further changes over the next inning or so. Basetto will step into the right-handed batter's box to take on Morin. He's 0 for 1. He grounded out to third in his first time up.
Number 16, Bill Basetto.
Bill had 3 singles, part of a 3-for-4 day in Game 1. The sun sets here in Boston, Massachusetts, and what a sight it is in left field. The sunset over the Boston skyline. Picturesque and breathtaking, as those are also adjectives I would use to describe the performance of JT Morin today. Picturesque and breathtaking. Here's the 0-1 pitch from UMass Boston's freshman left-hander, and there he goes. Swung on and missed there. Trying to check his swing was Basetto, but again, the deceptive delivery of Morin has him ahead in the count, 0-2. A wind-up. The 0-2 pitch, swung on and missed, gets away from Anthony Searles. He'll recover a long throw in time. Great play by both Searles and Fowler holding the bag. And UMass Boston pumped up at that play. There's one down here in the 5th inning. And we saw in the 8th inning of Game 1 how critical those plays are.
Left field number 25, Trey Gauze.
Charlie Hughey came in as a pinch hitter, struck out, but he was able to reach base because of a wild pitch, and that turned the game completely in a 180 fashion. Beacons came back to score 4 runs and win the game. First pitch to Trey Gauze is up and away, ball 1. So Basetto was retired on a strikeout and a 2-3 putout. Gauze is 0 for 1 today. He grounded out to third in his first at-bat. Make it deja vu all over again as he grounds out to Boudris. 2 down here, 5-3 on the putout. And JT Morin working effectively and efficiently yet again here in inning number 5.
Number 3, Brian Harper.
Brings up Brian Harper. Harper struck out looking his first at-bat. He does have a home run this season, along with 4 RBI and a reserve role, as that one's in the dirt for a ball. Harper, a native of Ledyard, Connecticut, standing at 6 foot 185, as that one is down Broadway 1-1. It's a very, very young team, just 6 seniors for WestCon, as that one is grounded through the hole, and Fowler's going to have to be the one to take it. He's going to have to flip it quickly to Morin, who gets there. No, they will say he did not get his foot on the bag, and that is going to be called an infield single. So what a beautiful job running down the baseline there for Brian Harper. Typically, catchers are not quite adept at running down the base paths, but he did a good job there for an infield single, beating out the pitcher, that is Morin. And I think in a perfect world, Coach Egerbrot would have preferred that Zincone make that play at second. It would have been a lot easier for Zincone to throw and retire him to Fowler as opposed to Fowler throwing across his body to Morin. But in the end, all it does is bring the 9-hole hitter up with 2 outs, so it might not mean a whole lot if Morin is able to retire Rio. Though it does turn the lineup over for the 6th inning, as a pickoff move to first is not in time. So we had a strikeout of Basetto, a ground out to third by Gauze, and what could have been a ground out to first to end the inning that turns into an infield single due to excellent hustle for Brian Harper. And this one skied into right field. On his horse is Danielson. He's going to have to make a good running catch right to the left of that foul line to retire the side. So a fly out to right field does end the inning. They do turn the lineup over, but they don't get any runs in on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We head towards the 6th inning of play here from Monin Park on the campus of UMass Boston. Still 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. In just his 2nd start of the season, Shane Bierfeld has been outstanding, but he's been matched pitch for pitch with JT Morin. And as we head to the 6th inning of play from Monin Park, it's still 1-0 UMass Boston, a run they got all the way back in inning number 1. After a walk to Sal Frascino led to an RBI single for Ryan Olivo. It will be Anthony Searles to lead things off here in the 6th. 4-5-6, Searles, Olivo, and Danielson scheduled to be the opposition for Bierfeld. You are watching the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I'm John Skudras. UMass Boston winning Game 1 4-2, trying to sweep this LEC opening doubleheader. And how critical would that be to improve not only to get 2 games above 500, or 3 games then to 11-8, but also to jump up 2-0 to start the Little East Conference campaign, which would obviously set you up for an opportunity to get into the conference tournament. There's the first pitch to Anthony Searles, who steps in, takes that one on the outside corner from Bierfeld for strike 1. Anthony today is 0 for 1. He walked and was stranded at second in the first. He also struck out in the third, as that one's high 1-1. Overall, this has been a brilliant pitching performance for both, as this one's launched into right field by Searles. On his horse back to make the play is John Kelly. And there's 1 down here in the 6th inning on a fly out to right. Nine strikeouts so far for Bierfeld. Struck out the side back in the first. He had 2 in the second. 2 more in the third, and 1 in each of the 4th and 5th. So he's had at least 1 strikeout in every inning so far, as Danielson steps up, takes low, ball 1. Olivo steps up, takes low, ball 1. Danielson on deck. Olivo's 1 for 2. RBI single in the first, struck out swinging in the third. 1-0 is chopped foul. Behind the dish, 1-1. Beacons have managed to scatter 3 hits. They got that Olivo single in the first inning. A double by Murphy, who was then stranded in the third. And as you see Olivo take that one inside, 2-1. They had a 2-out single by Boudris as well in the fourth. That resulted in no runs. Here's the 2-1. That one's back up the middle, and just like that, that should be hit number 4. It will be. Is gobbling it up, and holding on to it is Rijo. Had no real chance even if he was able to get a throw away. It is hit number 4 for UMass Boston. So Danielson will step up. Man at first base is Olivo. One down here in the 6th inning. Danielson is 0 for 2. He struck out and grounded out and takes that one low for ball 1. Lionel, a native of the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, as the 1-0, and they got him picked off. Is Olivo. Head first slide, beats the tag. What an effort from Ryan Olivo, who was picked off but never hesitated and just launched himself towards second base like Superman and was able to dive in there safely. And just like that, a man in scoring position with just one out. So Ryan Olivo continues to impress everyone in attendance. Came into today's doubleheader hitting .563 as a freshman. The 1-0 pitch is chopped foul behind the dish. 1-1. In game 1, he started out a bit slowly, but he reached base and scored, or would have scored if he wasn't replaced by a pinch runner in the 9th inning. That got the 9th inning started. In a game, the Beacons would score 3 runs in that final frame and win 4-2. And now here in game 2, he's got an RBI single as well as an opportunity to be the second run of the game if Danielson can drive him home. There is a chasm between left and right, or right and center field as that curveball is left up, 2-1. As Kelly and Callahan would need rockets in their cleats to be able to get anything that is launched towards that power alley in right center. We'll see if Danielson's got it in him. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's inside, 2-1. Fowler waits on deck. Boudris in the hole as the Beacons would love to get an insurance run here in the top half of the 6th inning. Here's the 3-1. It's fouled back off the screen. It made its way over the screen and drops right into the front row. So it's 3 balls and 2 strikes now, and a big payoff pitch coming up for Biro. And that one is left up high, so Bierfeld walks Danielson. So at least that does set up a potential double play ball for the Colonials, but it also puts another speedy base runner on the base paths for a guy who knows how to make contact, Chris Fowler. Fowler today is 0 for 2. He struck out and was retired on a 2-3 putout in the 2nd. He also flew out to left field back in the 4th inning. Lefty on lefty action here as Bierfeld delivers first pitch curveball, and that's way up, 1-0. Something about the way Harper caught that makes me think he was crossed up. He thought it was a fastball, and it was a curveball that was thrown. And then he said a few words to Bierfeld to get on the same page. Here's the 1-0. Launched into left center. Goss on his horse to his left. He'll make the play, and the runners will have to hold at their respective bags. That's the 2nd out of the inning. 2nd consecutive fly out to left for Fowler. And with 2 down, it brings up Kyle Boudris. Boudris is 1 for 2. Grounded out to third his first time up. Also had a single back in the 4th inning. He's also made some very solid defensive plays today.
Number 15, Kyle Boudris.
That has helped keep this game 1-0 here in the top of the 6th inning. So the Beacons trying to threaten for more. They've got a man at second, that's Olivo. Danielson's at first, and as Bierfeld steps off to take a look back at Olivo, we get a chance to see Kyle Boudris step back in. But again, Bierfeld's going to want to discuss things here with Harper as they were crossed up a little bit on that last at-bat. So with 2 down and 2 men on base, this becomes a huge at-bat over the course of this game with regards to win percentage, or the percentage of, or likelihood of victory. A hit here would give the Beacons a 2-run lead. Anything in the gaps would likely give them a 3-run lead. Bierfeld trying to keep it to 1 because with JT Morin on the mound, they know they're not going to get a lot of opportunities the rest of the way. First pitch is taken on the outside corner for strike 1 by Boudris. Raising Cone would be on deck if Kyle can reach. The 0-1. That's in the dirt. Good block. The runners thought about going. Danielson probably would have if he didn't have Olivo in front of him. But it's 1-1 now to Kyle Boudris. Boudris has that open stance from the left side. Allows him to see those pitches from that left-hander as that one dips outside with a curveball, 2-1. Big at bat. Boudris a chance to get an insurance run, also turn the lineup over for the 7th inning as this one's ripped to second. Rio, nice play on a high hop, and Rio's able to retire Boudris on a 4-3 putout. Solid play there by Stanley Rio, who came in here in Game 2 to play second base. That's his first tough play that he's made, but he got the job done there. So the Beacons strand 2. They did have 1 hit. No errors. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's still 1-0 UMass Boston here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. JT Morin will continue his performance today. He's gone 5 shutout innings, and as we begin the bottom of the 6th inning, he will toil the top of the order. It'll be John Kelly, E.J. Lavoie, and Chris Callahan scheduled to face the Beacons' freshman left-hander, who has been brilliant through 5 innings of play. Scattered just 2 hits, one an infield single in the 1st inning, the other an infield single in the 5th. He's been absolutely outstanding, striking out 6 along the way. So the leadoff hitter will be Kelly. John is 0 for 1. He struck out and walked. This is, of course, a team that has lost now 7 consecutive games, these Colonials, dating back to March 21st. That one's ripped. Oh, what a great leaping play! Dave Murphy looking like Ozzie Smith at shortstop on that one as he robs John Kelly of a leadoff single, 1 down. John Kelly, well, some days they just aren't your days. That was the first time he's really hit the ball hard, as coming into that at-bat he was hitless for the doubleheader. And Dave Murphy with an absolutely brilliant leaping grab. So it brings up E.J. Lavoie, who takes the first pitch low for a ball. E.J.'s 1 for 2, an infield single and a ground out to third. 1-0, swung on and missed, 1-1. As I mentioned, the only 2 hits of this affair, one here by Lavoie back in the 1st inning, are infield singles. A couple of things go differently. You could be looking at a no-hit bid right now. There's the 1-1. Well, so much for that if that stays fair, but I think that is going to trickle foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes off the bat of Lavoie. That one just cut a little bit too far to the right of that foul line in right field. But again, you have to be so impressed with Morin over the course of this first year on Beaconville. Lavoie back in, ready to go for the 1-2 pitch. Morin out of the windup. Here is his 1-2, and that one's launched for a base hit to right field in front of Danielson. Lionel's going to try to throw to first, and he almost got the player who's not even that slow in E.J. Lavoie. Lionel Danielson just on a hard hit ball. He's the type of player who's always going to have fun out there and take that chance. Fortunately, just didn't pay off on that one. Almost threw it away, in fact, but Fowler made a good effort to get in front of that ball.
Center fielder number 12, Chris Callahan.
So that is the second hit of the day for Lavoie. It's also the first hit of the day outside of the infield for Western Connecticut State, and brings up Chris Callahan, who has a chance to turn this game over with a nice extra base hit here. He takes on the outside corner for a strike, 0-1. Callahan is 0 for 2 in Game 2, flew out and struck out. He did go 2 for 3 with a triple and a double in Game 1. And a pickoff move to first, as that one is not in time. You'd have to think that the Colonials, what with their inability to put hit after hit and consecutive rallies together, would be looking to steal here to get that tying run in scoring position with less than 2 outs. We'll see. Well, it might all be moot here as this has popped up. Ranging in is Olivo! Can't get there! Was playing too deep against Callahan, and that is a base knock for Callahan. And it puts 2 men on base with just 1 out. So just like that, Ryan Olivo unable to come in and make that play. Murphy unable to range out to get it. And there are 2 men on base with 1 out. So Frank Vartuli steps up. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout. And a big at-bat coming up here for both Vartuli and Morin. And now we're going to get a meeting on the mound. So a chance to pause and look back at this inning that began with a line out to shortstop on a great play made by Murphy on the bat by Kelly. And then in a couple of singles, one hard hit to right by Lavoie, and the other a pop fly to left field that Olivo just couldn't catch up to. And it brings up Vartuli, who went 1 for 3 in Game 1 with a walk and is now 0 for 2 in Game 2. Frank does have a team leading 14 runs batted in, so he's no stranger to pressure situations and coming through in those situations. But he's taking on a tough customer in his own right in JT Morin. Like I said, now 4 hits for Morin as he has worked through 5 1/3 innings. 6 strikeouts. Just 1 walk. First pitch, and Vartuli takes low, 1-0. So big at bat here for Vartuli as Morin gets his sign, takes a peek back at second. Still staring down Lavoie, and now he'll call time. And stepping off the rubber is Morin. Delato's on deck, or at least he's scheduled to be on deck, should this inning continue. Here's the 1-0, that's low. 2 balls and no strikes from JT Morin towards Frank Vartuli. The runner at second's Lavoie. The runner at first is Callahan. UMass Boston leading 1-0. Bottom half of the 6th inning. And a 2-0 count to Frank Vartuli. Here's the pitch. That one's grounded. They're not likely to get a double play. They're only going to take that runner at first. That's the right play by Zincone. As the runners advance to second and third, 4-3 putout retires Vartuli. And they get an opportunity to face the designated hitter, Nick Delato.
The designated hitter, number 20, Nick Delato.
So Delato, coming in 0 for 2 today, popped out to second, flew out to center. 0 for 5 in the doubleheader. Has a chance with a base hit to give WestCon the lead back here in Game 2. They've trailed 1-0 since the very first inning. But, of course, they did lead in Game 1 from the 4th inning until the 9th, where they gave it up. From the windup, Morin's first pitch, and that one is inside. Almost got the designated hitter Delato, 1-0. And now Searles is going to go out and discuss things with JT Morin. Morin gave up a hit in the first, went perfect through the second, third, and fourth. Another infield single in the 5th, but he was really hit for the first time hard here in the 6th inning by E.J. Lavoie. And a can of corn by Callahan resulted in a single to left field as well. Back in is Delato. We are all set. Battery mates stare down each other. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Curveball, beautiful pitch, 1-1. As able to carve that up like a Thanksgiving turkey was Morin. And with the runners at second and third, that's a big pitch to not fall behind 2-0. Getting his sign is JT. Here's the 1-1. Just off the inside corner with a fastball. Very close pitch. And it's 2-1 to Nick Delato. Delato came into action today, the second leading hitter on this Colonial squad. He's hitless through a game and a half, 0 for 5. And now calling timeout again is JT Morin. Seems like he and Searles are not on the same page here through the latter portion of the sixth inning. Morin still staring Searles down. Now he has his sign. Here's the 2-1. Another fastball that's in the dirt. 3 balls and 1 strike. On deck is Bill Bacetto, who had 3 hits in game 1. So a huge pitch coming up for both Morin and Delato. From the windup, Southpaw's 3-1 pitch. Swung on and missed. Big hack by Delato as he was looking to bring both runners home on that one, but it's nevertheless strike 2. And the count will be full with 2 outs here in the 6th inning. This is a huge point in this ball game for WestCon, as they hope to at least tie the game here in the 6th inning. The 3-2 pitch, just a bit low, ball 4. And they tried going off speed on Delato, but he was not fooled. And the bases are full of Colonials here in the 6th inning. It will bring up the aforementioned Bacetto. 0 for 2 on the day, a ground out and a strikeout. But in game 1, he did have 3 hits for his club. Morin ready from the windup. First pitch to Bacetto, and that one's launched foul out of play up the first base line.
Number 16, Bill Bacetto.
The runner at third is Lavoie. The runner at second, Callahan. The runner at first, Delato. And JT Morin, who cruised through the first 5 in his first big jam here in inning number 6. Here's the 0-1 pitch. It's inside and low. They checked their swing, and they did not go. Fans do not agree. But nonetheless, it looked like it was pretty easy call to make. It's 1-1. Bases full of Colonials. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That one is fouled back off the screen, so now Morin 1 strike away from getting out of this colossal jam and an opportunity to breathe easy between innings. But he's going to have to get one more big strike here to retire Bacetto and company in the 6th inning. Out of the windup, Morin gets his sign. Bacetto waits. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Great block from Searles, who has made 5 or 6 great blocks throughout the course of this doubleheader behind the dish. And with games as close as they've been so far today, that is critical. Here's the 2-2. Just a bit inside for ball 3. And so now Morin has to dig deep here. He's worked another 3-2 count, and for a guy who doesn't walk many batters, he had in fact just 2 walks in 19 1/3 innings coming in. He now has 2 walks in 5 2/3 today. Doubles up his season-long total. He's trying to avoid 3. That would tie the game. Here's the 3-2 pitch. Runners go. Ground ball. It's going to be a tough play to make. Gobbled up there. Fired across the diamond. And able to retire the side is Kyle Boudris and UMass Boston's JT Morin. He tiptoed in and out of danger in that inning, but nonetheless gets out of things unscathed. So it's no runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 3 men left on base. We head to the 7th inning. It's almost stretch time from Monin Park. Beacon still clinging to a 1-0 lead. We will have a new hurler on the mound for Western Connecticut State as Sean Nadeau will make his debut here this doubleheader. It's his third appearance of the season. He's gone 2 innings, gave up 2 hits while striking out 2, has yet to allow a run, and has no decisions on his slate this campaign. So he is the new pitcher for Western Connecticut State.
Now on the mound, number 13, Sean Nadeau.
Nadeau is a native of Groton, Connecticut, standing at 5'9", 160. And the junior will make his third appearance of the season, and he'll begin things here in the top half of the 7th inning. We'll have a pinch hitter, in fact, for UMass Boston as well. As coming on in will be Brian Dupre, a senior from Chicopee, Massachusetts, standing at 6', 185. Brian on the campaign is hitting just 200, 5 of 25. He does have 3 extra base hits, and no runs batted in. Brian's walk-up music is 50 Cent, which is not a bad song, but I'm pretty sure Brian was about 9 or 10 when that song came out. So it's 1-0 to Brian Dupre, who comes in as the pinch hitter for Raising Cone. And Nadeau will deliver the 1-0, and the left-hander sees this one chopped to shortstop. Gobbled up there by E.J. Lavoie. He fires across the diamond to retire Dupre. 1 down, 6-3 on the putout here in the 7th inning. Brings up Sal Frascino. Sal is 0 for 2. Flew out, lined out, and walked and scored. He's still the only man in this game that has crossed home plate all the way back in the 1st inning.
Center field number 20, Sal Frascino.
This goes to show you in a 27-out game, every single one matters. Doesn't matter when it is, as here's the first pitch from Nadeau, and that's outside. In Game 1, Sal was integral to UMass's success in that 9th inning. On the outside corner with a nice fastball. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Sal had a safety squeeze in that 9th inning of Game 1 that brought in the go-ahead run as this one's chopped to first base. Getting on his horse to make the play is Vartuli. And 3 unassisted on the putout, the second out of the inning here in the top half of the 7th. Brings up Dan Mantoni. And Mantoni here in Game 2 is 0 for 2. Couple of strikeouts. Also walked back in the 3rd inning. So Nadeau comes in, gets 2 quick outs, and now has an opportunity to face a tough hitter with 2 outs and no one on as he sees that one dribble low. Mantoni takes it for a ball, 1-0. From the windup, Junior's 1-0, and that one is fouled out of play. Up the first base line, it's 1-1 to Dan Mantoni. Dan is able to reach base. Dave Murphy is on deck. Murph had a double back in the 3rd inning, but has otherwise been retired in straight sets here by these hometown, if you will, WestCon Colonials. It's now 1-2 after that swing and miss. And Mantoni awaits the 1-2. Nadeau ready from the windup. His 1-2's fouled back off the screen. Stays 1-2 to Dan Mantoni. Beacons have to get themselves a ball boy or girl out here to handle some of these foul balls. It's the rest of the athletes that are doing the running. They could use the workout, I suppose, as the 1-2 is fouled back off the screen as well. Dan staying alive. You telling me you couldn't hire a ball girl or just find some kid with nothing else to do on a Saturday afternoon? I bet they could. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that's inside, 2-2. You know what? In hindsight, you're right. It should actually just be Seth who was the ball boy. Here's the 2-2. That one's low. 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 down here to Dan Mantoni. Oh, he's absolutely watching, Seth Orensky. So the windup for Nadeau, here's the 3-2 pitch, and that one's grounded right back up the middle. That'll be a great ranging play from Lavoie, and he almost got him. Ooh, what a great play by Lavoie to range to his left, but unable to squeeze was Vartuli. And that will be an infield single for Dan Mantoni. So good effort nonetheless by Lavoie. And with 2 outs, the Beacons are in business with Murphy stepping up to the dish. Dave can always put a charge into one. With Mantoni's wheels and with 2 outs, an extra base hit likely gets that insurance run in. From the stretch, Nadeau's first pitch, and that's left up, 1-0. Runner at first is Mantoni, who reaches on his first hit of the day. He's now 1 for 3. And a pickoff move sees Mantoni range back in time. Murphy, as I mentioned, 1 for 3. He doubled back in the 3rd inning, but was stranded at second base when Searles and Olivo struck out. He also struck out in the 1st inning and flew out to center. We'll get you the full line on Shane Bierfeld, and it was a dandy. He's in line for the loss right now, but through 6 innings, he pitched extraordinarily well. Right now, though, Nadeau's just trying to tiptoe his way out of trouble here against the heart of the order. Here's the 1-0. That's ripped down the left field line. That is a foul ball. Ooh, big break there for Nadeau and company as they had a chance to take a 2-run lead on that one. With Mantoni's wheels and 2 outs, he was off at the crack of the bat. Tabulating the line here for the starting pitcher, Shane Bierfeld. He had 9 strikeouts tonight. As the 1-1 pitch, and Murphy waited on that off-speed pitch, was able to chop it foul. So Nadeau back on the rubber. Murphy is in a 1-2 hole here. Anthony Searles is on deck in case this inning continues. Mantoni leads off first. Nadeau ready. The kick and delivery, and reaching out to just loft that into left field is Murphy, but hardly having to move from his tracks is the left fielder Trey Gauze. He retires Murphy to end the inning. It's stretch time from Monin Park here in UMass Boston. Beacons got a run in the 1st inning. They've made it last so far. They lead 1-0 through 6.5 on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. So despite his biggest difficulties of the day back in the 6th inning, JT Morin will remain out there for this bottom half of the 7th. He did give up 2 hits, loaded the bases in the 6th, but was able to get out of any trouble and strand 3 runners to keep a 1-0 lead. And as we begin the 7th inning, it'll be 7-8-9. Gauze, Harper, and Rio due up for these hometown Western Connecticut State Colonials.
Number 25, Trey Gauze.
The final line for Shane Bierfeld, the starter for WestCon: 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Right now he's in line for the loss. Should the Beacons hang on to this lead, as the first pitch from Morin is left up high, 1-0 to Trey Gauze. Gauze is 0 for 2, grounded out to third both times he's been up today. The 1-0 pitch, and that one is on the outside corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. A defensive change for UMass Boston as Josh Lopez is back at his customary second base role. The 1-1 is up. 2 balls and 1 strikes to the left fielder, Trey Gauze. Lopez started in Game 1 at second base. Was replaced late in that one by Eddie Riley. And after missing the first 6.5 of this one, he's back in the game to play some solid defense in the latter portions of this affair. As swinging and missing is Gauze, it's 2-2. As nightfall has settled here in Boston, the temperatures have declined precipitously as this 2-2 is fouled out of play. It's still 2-2 to Gauze as we move into the night on a Saturday in April in Boston. There's the 2-2. Inside, ball 3. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And this is now yet another 3-2 count for Morin. He went through the first 4 innings very easily. Last couple, though, have been more laborious. Here's the 3-2. Swung on and missed, I believe foul tip, but caught by Searles. And that's another strikeout for JT Morin. So Gauze is retired swinging. 1 down here in the 7th for Brian Harper. Harper's 1 for 2. Struck out looking his first time up. Also reached on an infield single to first. That was really just the result of incredible hustle by the backup catcher for these Colonials. He'll try to do it again by bunting his way on, but he bunts it foul, 0-1. It's now 7 strikeouts for JT Morin, compared to just 2 walks. He gets the sign he likes. The 0-1 pitch from UMass Boston's left-hander almost got Harper on the front leg. Instead, it dips into the dirt, 1-1. Of course, most of the dirt here at Monin Park is figurative, other than the pitching mound, as that one is right down Broadway, 1-2. Deceptive from your screen. That looks like dirt around the diamond, but that is not. That is just colored turf. Here's the 1-2 pitch to the catcher, Harper, and that one got away from JT, up and in. And they're going to say it hit him. Morin can't believe it. I honestly can't either. It didn't look like it hit him, but it's difficult to say. Any nick of a jersey or a button or a part of his goatee is going to be called. And the fans getting involved even more so here over the last couple of innings. I think the cold weather is starting to get to them. The umpires are discussing this, so we do have a meeting of the apostles to the right of Morin's mound. We'll see what they do decide. I'd be shocked if the base umpire is able to overrule the plate umpire who was 2 feet away, and they won't. So the base runner will reach. That's the first hit batsman of the day for Morin. It's a 1-out base runner, and that's the tying run, folks. So that's a big call by the home plate umpire. That's David Viveros here in Game 2. He was the base umpire for Game 1.
Second baseman number 1, Stanley Rio.
So Stanley Rio will bat for himself here in the 7th inning. He's 0 for 2. He struck out swinging and flew out to right as he takes that one low for ball 1. See if the Beacons decide to let Morin work through this. I think they do have action in the bullpen. Looks like a left-hander warming up for UMass Boston. Here's the 1-0. That one's grounded through the hole. What a break, as that's going to elude the glove of Lopez. He does a good enough job as he could to get out there, but he was playing double play deep, and that will allow a base knock for Rio. Just the 5th hit of the game against Morin, and runners are at first and second with only 1 out for the top of the order. And now we will, I believe, get at the very least, a meeting on the mound. And that might do it for Morin, but we'll let you know. So this inning began as picturesque as it could. The seventh strikeout of the day for JT Morin, but then a controversial hit batter, followed by a seeing eye single through the hole on the right side. And it's first and second with only one out. The tying run in scoring position, that's Harper, who just showed his last at bat that he's got more wheels than a typical catcher. And Rio at first base, who has average speed. But more concerning for Morin, who they will leave in, is John Kelly, who despite his struggles today, a combined 0 for 6 with 4 strikeouts between game 1 and 2, is still a very, very accomplished hitter. The runner at second is Harper. The runner at first, Rio. The batter is Kelly. He's 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a lineout. That lineout would have been a base hit if it weren't for the tremendous ups of Dave Murphy at shortstop. Morin still waiting on his sign from Searles. He gets it. Here's the first pitch. Ripped and fouled off the screen up the first base line. It's 0-1. Of course, Beacons will be back at it tomorrow afternoon. Road game at Eastern Connecticut State. Meanwhile, WestCon has off till Monday when they visit Nichols. Morin will step off the rubber, catch his breath. Things have been a bit more difficult for him here in the second half of this affair. Still 1-0 Beacons, bottom half of the seventh inning. Here's the 0-1 pitch. That's inside. Good block from Searles. They're going to try it. The throw down to third is not in time. And that is a big, big pitch, as they're going to call that a wild pitch, I would think. So it was in the dirt. Searles did a good job, or at least as good as he could have done, of blocking it. But in the end, the runners advance. So now that kills any chance of a colloquial double play. It also kills, it really kills any chance the Beacons have had of getting out of this with the lead on anything short of a strikeout here or a pop out on the infield. Here's the 1-1. Ripped into right field. Lionel's going to have to move to his right. That's trouble, and that's fair. And the Colonials are going to take the lead. No, they're not, as Rio held up at second base. I don't like that base running play at all by Rio, and his coach is giving it to him at third base because he should have been halfway down the line and would have scored on that. It does tie the game. It's an RBI single for John Kelly, advancing to second on the throw, I believe. But at the same time, Rio really should have scored on a play like that. So it's now 1-1, and that'll do it for Morin here in the seventh inning. So JT cruised through, I should say, 5 innings. He was brilliant through the first 5, and then things just began to unravel in the 6th and 7th. In the 6th, he gave up 2 hits and a walk, but was able to get out of it without any further damage. Not so much here in the 7th inning. Hit by pitch with 1 out, followed by a single and another single, and just like that, we're tied at 1. To make matters worse, runners are at second and third with only 1 out. We'll be back here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. E.J. Lavoie will be the batter, and is it a crucial at-bat or what? This game is now tied at 1 here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Beacons had clinged to a 1-0 lead until this frame, when a phantom hit by pitch with Brian Harper at the dish put him on first. A single by Stanley Rio put runners in scoring position, and then an RBI base knock from John Kelly brought in the tying run. Kelly advanced to second on the throw. Rio only got to third on the single, and so that's where we stand right now. Second and third, 1 out, and the new pitcher for UMass Boston is Manny Garcia. And you can tell how much Coach Egerbrodt wants to win this one. He brings in his closer, Garcia, in the 7th in a tie game with runners at second and third and 1 out. Of course, Garcia pitched in Game 1. He pitched the 9th for his 2nd save of the season. Here's the first pitch to Lavoie, right down Broadway, 0-1. After Lavoie, it's Chris Callahan, the team's leading hitter. The stretch. The 0-1 from Manny Garcia. Lavoie swung on and missed. Beautiful cutting action on that one. And it's 0-2 to the shortstop for Western Connecticut. Beacons led 1-0 until just moments ago when John Kelly's first hit of the doubleheader tied the game at 1. Is the 0-2, just a bit outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Infield is in for UMass Boston, trying to protect this 1-1 tie. Anything on the infield, they'll look Rio back or they'll come home if he's heading towards the plate. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed, a huge strikeout for Manny Garcia. He sits Lavoie down, who came into the at-bat with 2 hits. And that's the 2nd out of the inning, and just one more ginormous hurdle to overcome, and that is the team's leading hitter, Chris Callahan.
Center field number 12, Chris Callahan.
Callahan has 3 hits in the doubleheader, 1 for 3 in Game 2, had a couple of extra base hits in Game 1, and they are going to do the smart thing and put him on. They want nothing to do with Chris Callahan, despite the lefty versus lefty matchup. And they will load the bases with 2 outs for Frank Vartuli, the team's leading run producer. It's an interesting decision. Rarely do you see a left-handed pitcher walk a left-handed batter to face a right-hander, especially when that right-hander is hitting .293 with 1 bomb and 14 runs batted in. But not often do you face players hitting .500, and that's what Callahan has done. In fact, he's hitting better than .500 now after this doubleheader performance. Here's the 3-0. Intentional walk. So that loads the bases. So there's a force at any base, which also helps on a potentially dangerous ground ball. But Vartuli will step into the right-handed batter's box. He's 0 for 3 here in Game 2. Struck out swinging in the 1st inning, flew out to left in the 4th, and grounded out to second in the 6th. Beacons and the Colonials tied at 1 here from UMass Boston. Of course, Beacons are the road team at home because of this game originally being scheduled at Western Connecticut, but being played here in Boston due to field conditions. First pitch here is ripped foul, and boy, oh boy, was he behind on that one. But when he takes a hack, he's not cheated. It was a heck of a swing by Vartuli. He ripped that down the first baseline foul. The runner at third is Rio. The runner at second is Kelly. And the runner at first is Callahan, who was intentionally walked just moments ago. Here's the 0-1 for Manny Garcia. Inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. And now, even more critical with that walk to load the bases, if you hit a batter or walk a batter, that brings in the go-ahead run. Would not have been the case with that base open. So Brendan Egerbrodt clearly gambling that Manny Garcia can take care of business against Vartuli. Here's the 1-1. Ground ball up the line. It's going to stay fair. Garcia has it, and he's got an easy play to retire the side. So Manny Garcia, called on here in the 7th inning of a tie game, strikes out Lavoie, and after an intentional walk of Callahan, retires Frank Vartuli 3-1 on the putout. We are headed towards the 8th inning of play. A whole new ball game here from Monin Park. It's 1-1, Beacons and Colonials. Sean Nadeau will work into his second inning of relief for the Colonials, and he'll face 4, 5, and 6 here in the 8th inning of play. Searles, Olivo, and Danielson due up for Brendan Eigerbrote's Beacons as we have a whole new ball game. It's 1-1 here from Monin Park. For the starter for UMass Boston, JT Morin, his line is done. He'll get a no decision in this one. Went 6 innings, allowing just 6 hits, 1 earned run, while striking out 7 and walking just 2. So another solid performance will bring his season total to 33 strikeouts and just 4 walks for JT Morin. So Nadeau will have to toil with Anthony Searles. Anthony's 0 for 2 in Game 2. He flew out to right, struck out, and walked back in the first. Here's the first pitch to him. Off-speed pitch, cuts right back over the heart of the plate. 0-1. Olivo on deck, Danielson in the hole. Plenty of pop in this lineup to face Nadeau as the 0-1 pitch is high, 1 ball and 1 strike. Beacons had a 1-0 lead slip through their fingers here. It's now 1-1 in the top of the 8th as swinging and chopping this one foul is Searles. Up the third base line. It's now 1-2 to UMass Boston's catcher. Both starting pitchers finished with sparkling lines. Bierfeld 6 innings, 1 run. Morin 6 1/3 innings, 1 run. Both had a lot of strikeouts. Bierfeld 9, Morin 7. It was definitely a pitcher's duel, but now both of those starters are out as Searles takes this one off the outside corner, 2-2. It's going to be up to the bullpens. As here's the 2-2 pitch, and Searles went way out to go after that one. He strikes out swinging. And that was the most undisciplined swing we've seen from Anthony today. Struck out number 2 on the afternoon for Searles. The first strikeout for Nadeau on the mound, and there's 1 down now for Ryan Olivo. Olivo's stayed hot here in Game 2. He's 2 for 3. Couple of singles, sandwiched around a third inning strikeout. Also drove in the only run of the game for UMass Boston as he takes on the outside corner for strike 1. It's a rarity when you don't see a right-handed pitcher at all in a game. So far, so good on that. 2 lefties for the Colonials, 2 for the Beacons, as this one's fouled out of play. Bierfeld started, went 6 innings as the southpaw for the Colonials. And then Nadeau came in and has gone 1 1/3 so far. There's the 0-2 pitch. And holding off, clearly not going, was Olivo. It's 1-2. Of course, the Beacons won't have much time to rest. They played 18, or at least 18 innings. With the way it's looking now, it might be more today. And then they have to go and play 9 more tomorrow down at Eastern Connecticut State. Here's the 1-2 outside, 2-2. Starting pitcher tomorrow might be Fernando Burgos. He went just a couple of games ago, but with all the rainouts, he should be fresh, as this one's popped out and out of play. Stays 2-2. Burgos on the season has been an absolute godsend. 2-0 in 3 starts, 0.42 ERA. The Beacon starting pitchers as a whole have been solid. Alex Carasado struggled earlier on in the season. Brian Kaufman has had his struggles as well, but other than that, they've gotten consecutive solid performances from Morton and Mantoni on this doubleheader. As taking that one low was Olivo. It's 3-2. So now Olivo will have a chance to reach base here. Nato's windup. The 3-2 pitch. Ground ball up the middle. That's going to be a tough play for Rio. He underhands it, fires across his body. Not in time as Olivo beats that one out. As Ryan utilizes that hustle, and he's an infield single. The 6th hit of the game for UMass Boston, evening things up with those Colonials of WestCon. And it's a 1-out base runner and an opportunity for a pinch runner to come on in for UMass Boston. And now we'll see what Coach Eigebrot decides to do. Danielson's had trouble laying down the sack bunt today. He's attempted in 2 different at-bats and has been unable to get it down. So far, he is 0 for 2 with a walk here in Game 2. Herzog is the pinch runner. He did the same thing back in Game 1. Eventually came around to score the tying run in the 9th inning. That's a line drive. Lavoie's got it. He's going to throw quickly to first. Got him. No, they're going to say did not get him at first base. And there's going to be a big argument here from the coaching staff, as it looked pretty clear that he was out at first base, was Herzog. And this is coming from one of the biggest homers for UMass Boston that you'll see. And you might be able to hear from up here the conversation between the base umpire and the coaching staff here for these visiting Colonials. But nonetheless, it is 2 down now on a line out to shortstop. Herzog is able to get back in time. So with 2 down, it'll bring up Chris Fowler. Fowler is 0 for 3, struck out and flew out to left twice. First pitch to Chris, taken on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. From the stretch, Nato. Pickoff move to first, not in time, as Herzog is able to dive back. If Chris reaches, Kyle Boudris is in the on-deck circle. Here's the 0-1. Rip, base knock almost, as this one's taken away at third base on a phenomenal reaching effort by the third baseman, Bill Bacetto. So the Beacons put a man on base, but were unable to advance him any further. And as we head towards the bottom half of the 8th inning, it's an opportunity for WestCon to bounce back and take the lead. It's 1-1 from Monin Park. Manny Garcia will stay on out there to toe the rubber for his second inning of relief work, his first full inning after coming in with the bases juiced and only 1 out back in inning number 7. So here's Nick Delato to lead things off. The DH is 0 for 2 with a walk. He popped out and flew out as well. And the left-handers wind up, and the first pitch to Delato is outside. 1 ball and no strikes. It'll be 5, 6, and 7. Bacetto on deck. Trey Goss due in the hole, though You may see a pinch hitter for him. Here's the 1-0 from Manny Garcia, and this one's ripped into right field. That's trouble if it stays fair. It is fair, and it trickles off the fence. That's a leadoff base knock, and then the throw into second is not in time, as a great job by Danielson to launch it in, just not in time to get Delato. And it's a leadoff double here in the bottom half of the 8th inning for the designated hitter, Nick Delato. The pinch runner for Delato will be coming on in. That's number 22, Shane Pugliese. He came in back in the 8th inning of Game 1, and the freshman from Plainville eventually was stranded. So a double for Delato. Pugliese pinch runs for him. And Bill Bacetto is the batter. Bill is 0 for 3. He's grounded out twice and struck out. Had an opportunity to tie the game back in the 6th inning with the bases loaded and 2 outs, but he grounded out to third. And look how close Boudris is in as they're protecting against a potential bunt here. Takes on the first pitch of that at-bat outside for ball 1, and now Searles will go out and talk to Garcia. You don't often see position players bunting over a batter from second to third, only because they're already in scoring position, especially when you just brought in a pinch runner. But with nobody out, you can do that, because if you successfully do so and only limit yourself to 1 out and a man at third base, any type of contact should bring that runner home. For Manny Garcia, the game is missing bats here. He's certainly good at that. Unfortunately, he misses the strike zone as well. It's 2-0. There will be no pinch hitter for Gauze. It looks like he is in the on-deck circle. So they'll stick with Trey in the bottom of the 8th inning. Here's the 2-0 from Garcia. That one's grounded. Third base side. It's going to be a tough play. The runner will move to third, and they're not going to have a play. As throwing back towards third, not in time, is Boudris, as he went to Murphy to try to get the runner on the back door. But now, with nobody out, there's runners at the corners. And it's white knuckle time if you're a UMass Boston fan. That should be a fielder's choice. No out. 5-6. And now runners are at the corners. Although, of course, you could call it an infield single if you think he would have beaten it out anyway. Regardless, Trey Goss is the batter with the runners at the corners. UMass Boston desperately needs a ball hit on the infield here that they are able to play and either get the runner out at home or force a double play. Garcia with a pickoff move to first, not in time, and you know for a fact that Bacetto is going to be thinking about going here. We've seen it all day long with runners at first and third, less than 2 outs, the runner stealing second because the catcher is just hesitant to throw there for fear the runner from third will break. Here's the first pitch. There goes the runner, inside corner for a strike, and they will let Bacetto just take second. So now 2 men in scoring position with nobody out. And do you walk Gauze here? Doesn't look like they will. They're just going to go after him, already ahead, 0-1. Gauze is 0 for 3 with a strikeout. And did he go? No, they say, as they appeal to the base umpire. It's 1-1. If you walk Gauze, obviously you're bringing up Brian Harper, who's got solid power. You're also bypassing a weak hitter in Gauze. But at the same time, you're setting yourself up for a force at any base. That one's on the outside corner with an off-speed pitch, 1-2. And you're setting yourself up for an easy home to first double play. But Coach Eigerbrod has faith in Garcia to take on this young left fielder, Trey Goss. Here's the 1-2. Inside. Ooh, Goss leaned into that a bit. Nevertheless, it's low and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. In case you're wondering, in the 9th inning, UMass Boston will have 8-9-1. Right now, that's scheduled to be Boudris, Lopez, Frashino. Here's the 2-2. Oh, he chopped it right to the left side. That's a fair ball. Goss is going to make it. As it's an infield single, Garcia didn't risk the throw. The runner did not come home from third, so at least it's really a de facto intentional walk. If they had just done that, they would have had the same result. So game one saw the Beacons trail 2-0 the duration of the way before coming back to score 4 in the 8th and 9th. This is an exact mirror image. Beacons led 1-0 until the 7th. They gave up a run in the 7th, and now the bases are jacked full of Colonials with nobody out and Brian Harper at the dish. Harper's 1 for 2, reached on an infield single. He also was hit by a pitch last inning before coming around to score. First pitch to him is a two-seamer right down the heart of the plate, 0-1. The runner at third is Pugliese. He came in after a double by Delato. Bassetto is the runner at second, and Trey Goss is the runner at first. It's Brian Harper in the batter's box. Here's the 0-1. He rips that one foul out of play up the first base line, so now 0-2 for Manny Garcia to work with. Stanley Rio is in the on-deck circle to bat for himself. Manny looking for his sign. He gets it from Searles. Anthony sets up on the outside corner. The 0-2, just getting a piece of it, is Brian Harper to stay alive. So it's 0-2 to Brian Harper. The bases are full of Colonials. Garcia ready. Takes a look at first. The 0-2 pitch. Outside with a curveball, 1-2. Beacons have 1 run on 6 hits, no errors. WestCon 1 run on 8 hits, no errors. It's a far cry from game 1 when they had 3 errors. And an assortment of pass balls and wild pitches. Here's the 1-2. It's fouled out of play up the first base line. So Harper's making Manny work. Garcia, of course, came in with 1 out and 2 men on in the 7th inning. Struck out E.J. Lavoie before intentionally walking Chris Callahan to load the bases. He then got Frank Vartuli to ground out up the line that he made the play himself on. Here's the 1-2. Ground ball, again, a foul ball, this time up the third base line. So Harper with a solid at bat. Garcia then continued to toe the rubber here in the 8th inning. Gave up a leadoff double to right field off the bat of Nick Delato, and it's one of those doubles that wasn't even hit that hard. It was just in the perfect spot, just to the left of the chalk in right field as Harper calls time, and they'll reset. After that, a infield single. And here's where we are now with the bases loaded. Here's the 1-2. Just a bit outside. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes to Brian Harper. Beacons trying to tiptoe out of danger here, but they still got a lot of work ahead of them. Nobody out, bases loaded. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt, and now serious trouble for Manny Garcia because he's in danger of walking in a run. Beacons infield is on the lip of the grass. They have Boudris at third, Murphy at short, Lopez at second. And that one is grounded foul, still 3-2, and Fowler at first. Right to left in the outfield, Danielson, Froscino, and Herzog. Brian Harper, the batter, already an 8-pitch at bat. Here's the 3-2. Ground ball, third base, fair ball, throw home is high, and it gets away. And that is going to be batter interference, base runner interference, or are they going to say it's out of play? They're going to say foul ball after all of that. So Kyle Boudris came charging in, and I think I think Dave Wahlberg said the right thing just a second ago over to my right. I think Boudreaux knew exactly what he was doing. He fielded that just as it trickled over the chalk. So it stays 3-2, and a break there for UMass Boston, at least for the moment. Garcia from the stretch. The 3-2 pitch. Outside, he walks in the go-ahead run. What an at-bat for Brian Harper. Coming in to score is Pugliese. And it's 2-1 Colonials here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.
Second baseman number 1, Stanley Rio.
Brings up Stanley Rio. Still nobody out, by the way. See how long they let Manny work this inning. First pitch to Rio. High and away, ball 1. Keep in mind, Manny Garcia pitched the 9th inning in Game 1, so he was already warm earlier, then cooled down for 3.5 hours, and now has to come back out, pitched brilliantly last inning, and then had to sit down for 10 more minutes, and you'd be amazed what that can do to a pitcher, especially those quirky lefties. Here's the 1-0. That one's grounded through the hole, a base hit, and they've blown things open here in the 8th inning. 1 run scores. Danielson's got a cannon, though likely that runner would have been able to come home. They do hold him at third. And that's an RBI base knock for Stanley Rio, his second RBI of the season, and it gives the visiting Colonials a 3-1 lead.
Right fielder number 7, John Kelly.
Bichette scores. Goss moves to third, Harper to second, Rio's at first, and John Kelly will step up to the dish in a moment as Searles will go out to talk to Garcia, who looks out of his mind out there. He's just staring off into the distance. Usually Manny's a very emotional pitcher, pumps his fists after every strikeout, but clearly very dejected at this point. The Beacons led 1-0 heading into stretch time. They've given up 3 runs in the 7th and 8th innings, and now are on the verge of defeat for the first time in the LEC standings. The batter is John Kelly as Garcia gets his sign. Still nobody out. Base is still full. That one's down the middle for strike 1, 0-1. Beacons do have right-handed action in the bullpen if they have to go that route, but they'd like for Manny to get out of this. Doesn't look like he's gonna, as this is lined down the left field line, a base hit. This might clear the bases. 1 run scores, 2 runs score. They hold Rio at third. It's a 2-run double for John Kelly, his second consecutive at-bat with an RBI. And just like that, it's 5-1 Western Connecticut State.
Shortstop number 10, DJ Lavoie.
Still nobody out, by the way, and Brendan Eigerbrod has seen enough. That's going to do it for Manny Garcia. We'll have a pitching change here in the 8th inning. Beacons led 1-0 heading into the 7th. They now trail 5-1. We'll be back right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Steve Consiglio will be the new hurler for UMass Boston. The senior right-hander stands tall at 6'5", 185. A native of Southbury, Connecticut, he comes into this affair his 8th appearance on the season, and the numbers leave a lot to be desired. He's 0-1 with a 14.09 ERA, 7 2/3 innings. He's given up 20 hits, 13 runs, 12 of them earned, while striking out 7 and walking 4. As you can see, he does have the unorthodox and awkward three-quarters delivery. That is old school if I've ever seen it from Steve Consiglio. Right now, the Beacons trailing 5-1, still with nobody out. Just want to stop the bleeding, and they'll hope that Steve can be the perfect bandage for what has been a game that got away. First batter he'll face will be Lavoie. EJ is 2 for 4. He had an infield single in the first, a single back in the 6th. He also grounded out and struck out.
Now on the mound, number 39, Steve Consiglio.
Runners are at second and third. Man at second is Kelly. The man at third, Rio. Still nobody out. Here's the first pitch from Consiglio, and that's on the outside corner for a strike to E.J. Lavoie. This inning began with high hopes. The game tied at 1, and it has devolved into a disaster. Here's the 0-1. That one's grounded right through the wickets and right through the legs of Consiglio. 2 more runs are going to come in to score, and it's 7-1 Colonials as they have notched a 6th spot without recording an out here in the 8th inning. That's an RBI single for Lavoie.
Center fielder number 12, Chris Callahan.
Should say a 2-run single for Lavoie. It's 7-1. And now Callahan steps up. Callahan is 1 for 3. Singled, struck out, flew out, and was intentionally walked. That one's lifted into left field. If that's fair, that's trouble. I think it's going to trickle foul. It does. Nothing has gone right for the Beacons this inning. Double, single, single, walk, single, double, single. That's 6 runs in the 6th. Callahan is ready to face Steve Consiglio, who has now given up 21 hits in 7 2/3 innings. Here's the 0-1. It's outside. 1-1 to Chris Callahan. Bertulli's on deck as the Colonials will bat around here in the 8th inning. Swinging and missing is Callahan. It's 1-2. Runner at first is Lavoie. Consiglio ready. Here's the 1-2. It's in the dirt. 2-2 to Chris Callahan. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Beacons saw J.T. Morin cruise through 6 innings as this one is lined back off the screen. I should say cruise through 5. He ran into some trouble in the 6th with a couple of singles and a walk. Got out of it on a Bassetto ground out to third. And then the wheels fell off. In the 7th inning, Morin got a leadoff strikeout of Trey Gauze. He then hit Brian Harper, and that was really the turning point of the game. Harper said he was hit. The umpire agreed with him, and as this one misses outside, it's a full count to Callahan. And said he was hit by the pitch. Brendan Eigerbrodt and really everyone else in attendance didn't see it. After that, single ended Morin's day. Here's the 3-2, and that's ball 4. The outs are hard to come by here in the 8th inning, and it's now runners at first and second after the walk for Chris Callahan, and it will bring up Frank Vartuli as the Colonials have batted around here in the 8th inning with no outs. That last single, John Kelly's RBI single, tied the game and ended Morin's day. They brought in Garcia, who dazzled by striking out Lavoie, and after intentionally walking Callahan, retired Vartuli on a ground out up the line. First pitch here is in the dirt to Vartuli. It's 1-0. But then they kept Garcia in the 8th inning, and things really just unraveled for them, and they still are. Delato began the inning with a double down the right field line. He was replaced on the base paths by Pugliese. Bisetto then singled to put runners at first and third. Here's the 1-0. Ground ball, and that's going to be a tough out too. And the throw across the diamond is not in time. Good scoop there by Fowler to at least prevent the ball from getting away and another run from coming in. But my goodness, they have put 10. This will be the 10th man sent to the dish. That was an infield single, still nobody out.
Pinch hitting for the Colonials, number 54, Kevin DeCastro.
Kevin DeCastro is pinch hitting here, and it would have been Pugliese who came in to pinch run for Delato. So DeCastro will duel with Consiglio. So it was first and third. That brought up Trey Gauze, and then the runner advanced to second. The Beacons just gave it to him. His first pitch. Now it's a base hit to right field, and the blood keeps on flowing. Danielson, with a strong arm, will force them to hold Callahan at third, but it's now another run in. It's 8-1.
Third baseman, number 16, Bill Bisetto.
They decided not to walk Gauze earlier in this inning. He reached on an infield single to load the bases, and then they walked in a run when Brian Harper was unable to be retired by Garcia. Stanley Rio then brought in another run with a base hit to make it 3-1. It got really exponentially worse when John Kelly doubled in a couple of runs. That was it for Manny Garcia. And things haven't gotten any better for Steve Consiglio, who gave up an RBI single, a walk, a single, and another RBI single. His day is done. He's now given up 23 hits and 13 runs in 7 2/3 innings this season. And we'll be right back on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. A pitching change for Brendan Eigerbrod. It's 8-1 Colonials. So the new pitcher is the right-hander Alex Carasoto. This will be his 5th appearance. He's 0-1 with a 12.10. 9 2/3 innings pitched, 19 hits, 13 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, and 4 walks. Folks, I've seen a lot of baseball in my life. This might be one of the worst innings I've ever seen. Beacons came into it tied at 1. They've given up double, single, single, walk, single, double, single, walk, single, single. And 7 runs have come across the board. And no, I didn't miss anything. Your ears aren't deceiving you. There's no outs. In case you were wondering, the Beacons have 8, 9, and 1 to begin the 9th inning. But they're going to have to get some outs first. Joe Daigle, who started Game 1 and played the duration at third base, is the pinch runner at first. And Bill Bisetto will step on up into the batter's box. He's 1 for 4 today. He singled back earlier on in this inning. And now Carasoto will have the duty of getting out of things here. Or at least getting it out. Here's the first pitch on the inside corner, 0-1. Alex does a bang-up job as a director for our hockey broadcasts. Let's hope he can mimic that performance on the mound today. Here's the 0-1. Swung on and missed. Good hook for Carasoto, as that's enough to get Bill Bisetto well out in front of that. It's 0-2. Bases full of Colonials. They put 7 men across home plate. Here's the 0-2. In the dirt, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Not only that, they have sent 11 batters to the dish. Still nobody out. Carasuto out of the stretch. Gets his sign from Searles, and he's ready. Here's the 1-2 to Bill Bacetto. Low and away, 2-2 to the visiting third baseman. Carasuto gets his sign from his battery mate, the 2-2 pitch. Just a bit low, ball 3, 3 balls and 2 strikes. To Bill Bacetto with the bases loaded. From the stretch, the 3-2 pitch, swung on and missed, he struck him out. Out number 1 in the 8th inning. It only took 11 batters.
Left fielder number 25, Trey Gauze.
It brings up Trey Gauze. Trey's 1 for 4, reached on an infield single and scored way back earlier in the 8th inning, which felt like about 2 hours ago as this one almost hits him. Curveball that almost got Gauze in the back would have brought home another run. Trey probably should have just taken that. It's a curveball. It's not going to hurt too much. It's 1-0 to Trey Gauze. It's in the dirt. 2 balls and no strikes. So Carasuto came in. He's the 3rd pitcher of the inning, 4th of the game. This game was started by J.T. Morin and started quite well. 2-0, swung on and missed by Gauze, 2-1. Morin's final line, 6 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. He will get the no decision. The loss is going to be Manny Garcia's for really all likelihood, barring a comeback of Herculean proportions in the 9th inning, as this one is grounded to third base. That's going to be a foul ball. It's 2-2 now to Trey Gauze. Of course, to make matters worse for UMass Boston, they've had to exhaust their bullpen a bit here in the 8th inning, and they have to play tomorrow afternoon on the road. In an in-conference matchup against Eastern Connecticut State. So that's going to be a tough one, starting at noon tomorrow. Here's the 2-2. Inside, 3-2, and the bases are loaded with a full count for the 4th time in this inning. Beacons do have an out now. They'll try to get 2, and perhaps a double play to end this inning, mercifully. Here's the 3-2. Foul out of play, and that'll end up behind the stadium. Brian Harper's on deck. He had a couple of the biggest at-bats of this game. In the 7th inning, he was hit by a pitch to get a rally started. That really triggered everything that's happened here for UMass Boston. Here's the 3-2, and that's outside, ball 4, and they have walked in another run. It's now 9-1 Western Connecticut State. It's an RBI for Gauze, his 3rd of the season. Coming in to score at this point, coming in to score is number 12, Chris Callahan. And at this point, UMass Boston just needs to get outs. They trail 9-1 as Brian Harper steps in and takes low and away, ball 1, 1-0. And Anthony Searles will go out and discuss things with his battery mate. Game 1 was a comeback that the hometown faithful would love. The Beacons trailed 1-0, then 2-0, heading into the 8th inning. They scored a run on that one on a RBI double from Anthony Searles. They then tallied 3 more in the 9th inning thanks to 2 errors and a wild pitch. However, things have gone awry here in Game 2. Low and away, 2-0 to Brian Harper with the bases loaded and 1 out. Beacons got the run early in this game. A leadoff walk to Sal Frascino, and then an RBI single from Ryan Olivo. Since then, the offense has been stymied, and after a great pitching performance from JT Morin, the bullpen has broken down. It's 2-1. To the catcher, Harper. Here's the 2-1. It's low, 3 balls and 1 strike to Brian Harper. It's been a long day of baseball here from Monin Park on the campus of UMass Boston. It's the 3-1. Swung on and missed. Good off speed pitch. Now the count will be full for the 5th time in this inning. Of course, we played 9 earlier. Game the Beacons won. We'll play 9 yet again. Here's the 3-2. Base hit up the middle. 1 run will score. They'll send the second runner. And that one will make it through. And it's a 2-run single by Brian Harper. He's now got 2 hits today. And it's 11-1 as we can't even fit the scores, the runs on the scoreboard in this game. And that'll do it. They 10-run ruled us in the 8th inning alone. UMass Boston manages just 1 out in the 8th inning after leading 1-0 in this game and being tied 1-1 heading into the bottom of the 8th. They lose in 8 by the final score of 11-1.
Connecticut State 11, UMass Boston 1.
The win will go to the reliever, Sean Nadeau. He comes in and gets his first victory of the season, improving to 1-0. The loss will go to Garcia, as Manny will lose his first of the season. He falls to 2-1. Offensively, the player of the game for the Western Connecticut State Colonials, and I'm going to give it to Brian Harper. He may not have had the most gaudy statistics, but Harper was the linchpin that turned this game around when he got hit by a pitch in the 7th inning. He then worked a walk in the 8th to continue the inning around, and then had the clincher, a 2-run game-winning single for all intents and purposes, as they put 10 runs on the board in the 8th inning to win by the final of 11-1. Again, the win goes to Nadeau, the loss goes to Garcia, and the Beacons have split the doubleheader to begin the LEC schedule and move to 1-1 in LEC play. Beacons' record overall sits at 10-9. Meanwhile, for WestCon, they're 1-1 in the LEC, 6-8 overall. Beacons will be back at it tomorrow on the road, beginning at noon. First pitch against Eastern Connecticut State. You can check them out again on the Beacons Broadcasting Network this Tuesday for a matchup against Salem State. That one's scheduled first pitch at 6 p.m. For everyone involved in this broadcast, I am John Skudris. Good night, good luck, and good baseball. Beacons lose in Game 2, 11-1. Until next time, we'll see ya from the Beacons Broadcasting Network.